and welcome to Pacifist News. Within the last few months, the terrorist organization known as the Al-Qaeda has continued to oppose American influence on the Muslim world. Fearing another terrorist action by the organization, President Clinton has ordered an attack on bin Laden's and Al-Qaeda leader headquarters. Unfortunately, bin Laden has escaped unharmed.
To try and end the civil war within Iraq, the UN brokered a peace treaty between the Taliban and the Northern Alliance in March. Things continuing to go wrong, the treaty has failed and civil war has continued.
To try and damage the Taliban's movement, the UN has frozen all the Taliban's assets to try and force them to hand over bin Laden so the criminal may pay for his crimes. Continuing to be stubborn, these terrorists continue to keep bin Laden.
On a separate note, North Korea and the United States have finally reached an agreement regarding the production of nuclear power plants on Korean soil. A few years ago, in 1985, North Korea joined the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty, or the NPT. This meant that they could no longer obtain nuclear weapons, so they used this to negotiate with other countries.
North Korea has offered to end its programs if the United States assisted them with the construction of power plants. President Clinton of the United States signed the agreed framework, saying that the U.S. will supply fuel oil. It was announced that construction had been halted at North Korea's Yongbyon and Takyon facilities, and that these facilities are no longer operational.
The NPT's main purpose was to prevent countries from creating, buying, or selling nuclear weapons, and to share information and equipment to make nuclear energy for peace.
Recently, the Al-Qaeda have launched a series of attacks against multiple American government buildings and assets, including U.S. embassies in Kenya and Tanzania, and the USS Cole Navy destroyer. To try and further damage the Taliban, the United Nations have imposed an arms embargo on the Taliban.
And that's passed.
Last week has taken a terrible toll on American morale. Just days ago, 19 Al-Qaeda terrorists seized control of 4 different commercial airliners and used them to destroy sites of American pride and government. 2 of the captured airliners crashed into the Twin Towers World Trade Center in New York, and a third crashed into the Pentagon. The heroic passengers of the 4th plane fought valiantly to infiltrate the plane's cockpit and take back control of the plane, and steer the plane from its assumed target, the Capitol, into a field in Shanksville, Pennsylvania. Unfortunately, this act of bravery cost all of their passengers their lives.
With over 3,000 dead, President George W. Bush has declared war on global terrorism. The president has demanded that Al-Qaeda handed over Osama bin Laden and any other Al-Qaeda leaders. They have refused, and American forces are storming, attacking, and taking over Mullah Muhammad Omar's headquarters. This is the first attack the United States has acknowledged as their own.
Back to North Korea and the nuclear crisis. Bush has decided to negotiate. He said he would negotiate with North Korea only if it meant to illicit agreements.
Bush strictly wants them to cooperate and follow his conditions before construction begins. Both sides have accused each other of not staying with the terms. In response, North Korea has resumed its nuclear program. Due to the tragedy known as 9/11, the Bush administration has created the Department of Homeland Security. This new department focuses on federal preparations to deal with terrorism while trying to manage other duties such as customs, emergency management, and border security.
The Bush administration, continuing on its war path, has declared to the United Nations that Iraq has formed on an axis of evil with Iran and North Korea.
An American prison opened by the Bush administration, called Guantanamo Bay, as of January 11th, has detained Iraqi terrorists and begun torturing them for information, holding them without trial, and holding them indefinitely. President Bush claims that parts of international law do not apply to the war on global terrorism. John from the
Non-Proliferation Treaty. After North Korea rejected the proposal of the resolution for the NPT, George W. Bush, he presented a roadmap to peace. The goal is to recreate an independent Palestine state and peaceful relations between the Palestine of Israel.
Both the United States and Britain have demanded that the United Nations conduct an investigation of Iraq's possession of weapons of mass destruction, or WMDs for short. Iraq has denied every inspection, but when the United States and Britain had gone to the United Nations for approval of war, Iraq was forced to allow the inspections. When WMDs were discovered, Iraq slowly began destroying their weapons.
These efforts seemed too little for America and Britain, so they bombed Iraq. These strikes seemed all for nothing, as no WMDs were found. War was officially started on May 20th, and the Iraq War began.
News. We go live to Paul Bremer, head of the Coalition Provisional Authority in Iraq in Baghdad.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
If I'm understanding this correctly, the United States has captured Saddam Hussein and are trying him in court with the most likely punishment, death.
Relative calm. There is some news about the Non-Proliferation Treaty.
After joining and leaving multiple times, North Korea has finally decided on staying out of the NPT and having its own nuclear weapons. On October 3rd, 2006, the first nuclear test occurred, trying out a new weapon. Many scientists believe that it was a failure.
After escaping the recapturing of Kabul, bin Laden helped the Taliban regain power in Afghanistan.
Bin Laden has once again escaped an attack during the Iraq War and has fled to Pakistan.
Back in 2008, Obama was elected President of America and made a promise to support the remaining American troops in Afghanistan with more troops and supplies. He has now fulfilled his promise and has sent additional troops to protect Iraq and train Afghan soldiers.
In July, a strike team of 4,000 Marines and 650 Afghan soldiers launched a major attack on the Taliban fortress, Camp Bastion, in the southern Helmand province. This attack was known as Operation Khanjar, which means Strike of the Sword.
North Korea just started its second nuclear weapon test. This time, experts say the test was successful.
As of December, protests against democratic governments beginning in Tunisia have continued to take place. These anti-government uprisings have been called the Arab Spring. They began as a response to oppressive regimes and low living standards. It's over, Osama. I just got word from the U.S. Navy that an American SEAL team has raided a compound in Abbottabad, Pakistan, and has killed Osama bin Laden.
Back in 2012 revealed that despite the crimes committed by the Taliban, 50% of Americans wanted to remove troops from Afghanistan, and their wish has been fulfilled by Obama, as a slow removal of active troops has begun. Towers World Trade Center in New York, and a third crashed into the Pentagon. But because... What was so funny about the Pentagon, Sean?